Hey guys, so we're going to be moving on to flicking exercises and just how you can train your flicking skill and why flicking is even important. So to do this, first of all, we're going to start out with spider shot right here. You don't need to necessarily do this in aim labs. They aren't the only way to like simulate flicking. We'll talk about that in future videos, but we're just going to talk about why flicking is important and how it might apply to Valorant. So if I were to look to train my wider flicks in the game, what I would do is I would probably like boot up something like this if this is what I wanted to focus on specifically, and I would be like, okay, cool. So this is spider shot, and the like in situations you're going to use this. So notice how like this is where my mouse is. I click it, and then I have to flick to the target over on the far left or the far right, wherever it may appear. And this is a little loud, so I'm gonna do it briefly just to showcase it. Basically, what this is like. So say for example, I'm aiming at like window or something on Haven, the middle of the map, and and the target swings me from grass. And I click this and it's like a little bit inverted, but I would have to flick over to that target because my crosshair was not positioned for that player who's swinging me. And basically this is going to be very common in the game. It'll be less common the better crosshair placement that you have, but like there are times when you're going to have to flick to a different target and you're going to have to be able to land those shots. So this is why wider flicks are going to be important, that you can actually like hit them, and why it might be worth your time to practice this sort of thing. Now, next, what we're going to do is, first of all, we're going to lower my volume a little bit here. And then we are going to go to a different task. We are going to talk about microflicks, which is something that's going to be a lot more common to you in your games. So this one, we're going to do micro shot right here. And you're noticing how we've talked about previously, if you went through our crosshair placement course, how important it is that your crosshair is almost always close to the target's head. It won't always be perfect when they peek you, but it'll be close. And this is where tasks like this are helpful, where it just teaches you how to do those little micro adjustments for the kills now. So now, rather than us having to flick far away, since our crosshair is already going to be in the general vicinity of the target, what we're doing instead is we are micro-correcting. It's just a small adjustment that we're going to have to make to hit that target's head. And this is where most of your skills are going to come from in this game. This is where it's going to be most of the problem and most of the improvement is probably in your microflicks. Because at the top level of Valorant, you're focusing mostly on your like fundamentals with your crosshair placement and everything, where it's like stuff like this is going to be a lot more relevant because your crosshair is already going to like hypothetically be close to the target's head. So flicking is definitely very important, mostly in microflicks. Learning the larger flicks can be helpful, especially for agents who are maybe like entry fraggers. So if you're playing like a jet and you're dashing onto site, you're going to have to be swinging your crosshair around a lot. So having those microflicks might be a good thing. But for the most part, this is going to be most of the flicking that you'll do in your game. And this is probably a good skill for you to build up. And that's why you'll see my flicking is a lot stronger, my micro flicks, than just like my wider flicks. And that's also just because it's more difficult to make those wider flicks. But yeah, generally your micro flicks is what you're going to be looking more towards. Now let's move on to the tracking part.